All right, we're back with more 830 RPG. I'm Lex, and this is the Escape. We're doing a solo tabletop RPG using the Cairn RPG game. Now, this is chapter 4. Where we left off, we were about to go back into camp, which is the location we escaped. But we picked up some allies. Yeah, so we have a little small team here, and a literal small halfling right in the middle there. You can barely see it off the top-down view, but this is the entrance back into the camp. We just took out some bandits on the, or not bandits, we took out some goblins that were guarding the entrance of the camp. So, what I'm going to do is roll for conflict, and we will continue using the prior system that has been a vital uh, element of our solo method of playing this game, and that is rolling for probability. So, we'll use the single die method. So, we'll say either likely or unlikely. We'll roll. And if it's either yes or no, that's where we'll end up. So, yes is typically a 13 and above, and a no is typically 6 or lower. 7 through 12 is a maybe. So, also, you can see the probability on the right corner of the screen next to our virtual dice. I use dice.b.ac for this. The website is green screens, so you can always chroma key it out. And just for verification, I added the image of the yes, maybe, and no results. I think in the last episode we did 2D20. Yes was one number, no was the other. I'm going to change it up. I like to challenge myself in each video, change some things, like sometimes I even change the rules of the story. I'm going back to my previous one where it's just a simple 1 through 20 based on those results. So let's continue. Let's roll for conflict to see if anything happens while we're about to enter the camp, the fortified camp of formerly the artists known as bandits. So we're going to roll d20, and we'll leave it at possible that if anything happens at this very moment in time. 8. So that is a maybe something happens. To decipher that, we can say that there's a light gust of wind. Maybe perhaps one of our characters here is just slightly hesitant and fearful. Let's say the halfling is just slightly hesitant. He's having second thoughts about it. Perhaps we can persuade him that we need all the help we can get, no matter our size. So Loomer, knowing him best, will turn to uh, the halfling, just based on Loomer's experience and dealing with people as a, well, mercenary. He'll tell Loomer, uh, or he'll ask Loomer, is everything all right? And let's roll to see if Loomer is okay. So, is Loomer okay? So the prior roll was just to see if any of thing could happen, and we basically found out that our halfling friend is a little doubtful in his skills. So what we'll do, we'll roll a d20 and say, is Loomer, sorry, is a halfling okay? Let's say unlikely. So -2. Still middle of the road roll. So that's a 7 with the -2 modifier. That's borderline maybe. That's basically the lowest maybe. He doesn't, let's just say he doesn't answer. He looks to Loomer, and Loomer can tell, he can see the fear in his eyes, but it's also a mixture of confidence because of the aspect of revenge for what they did to him. So there's just two driving forces right now for the halfling. He's doubtful in his experience and in the whole situation, but he's also driven to seek revenge. Perhaps maybe he was inspired by Loomer unintentionally to some degree, so, or Loomer inspired him unintentionally. But in any event, let's head right in. Loomer will lead the way. Let's see if they let Loomer at this point lead the way because Loomer has so far. So highly likely does Loomer lead the way. Highly likely is a +4 and 6. So they do. They kind of pause for a second, seeing that Loomer is so excited and so eager to enter first. They basically say, all right, well, you're the leader, so you go ahead and then Loomer enters into the camp. followed by each respective figurine. So what I'll do now is reset the map, and then I will return momentarily. Okay, we are back in a new part of the map. We are back in the entrance of this portion of the fortified camp. We were in here a couple chapters ago where we basically were helping that goblin carry out a large crate of treasure down the stairwell. We dropped it, and then a bunch of shenanigans happened. I tried to find my stolen gear in this holding cell right here, but it was locked, and then there was an actual bandit showed up. Then that's how we ended up out this exit here. So we're back in familiar territory. I got Loomer stationed right here, kind of favoring his side mission at the moment is to retrieve his gear. By the way, forgot to mention my sheet. I'm still down my strength due to our past conflict with the goblins. My gold is I think the same since we took it from the treasure I just mentioned. Um, I took out the items that we just don't have. And we'll get to, if I ever get to that, there's a reason why. So all we have now is 3 days of rations, card deck, and a club. So we're pretty pathetic at the moment. Our health has been restored though, thanks to a brief rest, but our to recover. Now another challenge for this video is to not reference or look at the besides the monsters list, not look at the rules. The rules page on Cairn's website. So I think to recover strength, you need a practically a day's or a week's rest, some very long rest. Again, rules are always meant to be fudged based on the narrative. As with any RPG game, it's up to the DM, who essentially we are the DM. So let's get back to our uh, story. So we have our four friends here, quote unquote friends. We have the halfling who is undoubtedly near the closest to the door, still somewhat hesitant, but he's in here, so that's some level of brave that we have to admire. Loomer is eyeballing this side of the hall. Now, is there anybody? We wouldn't be in here if there wasn't any. If there was danger or threat, obviously in these two corners, especially at the staircase, where most likely there's more potential threats, if there is anybody in this whole entire place. So, do any of the party members hear anything? Let's say likely they do. So roll d20. That is 18, and so an unnatural 20. We certainly do hear voices. We hear substantial amounts of conversation happening while we are remaining as silent as possible. So there is loads, potentially at least a handful of either goblins or bandits running amok somewhere nearby. Loomer whispers because we all hear the voices. He says, let's split up. Perhaps half of us can choose a path. And do the does the team agree with the strategy? Let's say highly likely, because we can cover more ground. Now, split up meaning, there's five of us. You can't really evenly split that up. So let's see. Do they agree? Yeah, they most certainly agree. They all like that's a great idea. Let's split up. So the two closest to me will join, and then Loomer dies there. He has an inevitable death. So he fell off the side of the map and he's dead. So let's make a new character. I'm kidding. So he looks to the other two in the distance, and they said, "We'll take this side." And Loomer nods and he says, "I'll take these two." So I realize now the map we'll have to uh, have the advantage. We'll have more. We'll take the halfling just to be fair, and I mean also because the halfling knows us a slightly more, so he's more trustworthy. So Loomer basically says, "Let's go really quiet." We proceed down here, and then these two follow, and then these two follow up the stairs. Now, narrative wise, there is a potential path we can take here. We can go we split up. The thing is, we can see what's going on around here. which most likely is the last act. Well, we can say there's less activity, but there is goods here, so it could be guarded. Now up here, there's also potentially what we knew originally. There was nothing of value. We rolled for it earlier, a couple chapters ago. There was nothing else here besides a giant pot of gold. What I failed to just do now was to see if that gold that we dropped was still here. But I'm realizing now, most likely it's gone. It got thefted. It got taken by goblins or bandits or whoever. So, what we can do, we can just keep these guys in the dark. We don't know what's going on up there. We can roll later if we ever join up with them again. We can focus on our team, or we can do both. We can do both threads. We can work on ours and we can work on theirs. Now, that's obviously more to handle. But my worry is we have to keep on this on the same page, on the same tile. So I'm gonna split. I'm gonna keep them in the dark. Let's say that we're here, and these guys get off page. We don't know what is going on in the fog of war up here. So all we see is our crew right here. So Loomer, does he hear anything? Does he continue to hear noises coming from our new path of choice? Let's say likely. Okay, that's even stronger than before. So he hears footsteps, he hears voices, he hears rattling, he hears a commotion for some reason, and he also hears the movement of items, of boxes and crates. So there's so much going on right here that Loomer is going to uh, whisper to the others. He says, "Hold tight." They back off just a bit. They're obviously in agreement. We don't have to roll for that. He's going to look around the corner, just barely peek up. He's not wearing any helmet or anything. He doesn't have a hat on. So he can obviously look around, just barely look around. Now, what we have to do is figure out what the heck is going on around here. So we know there is someone in this area. Question is how many people or how many of anybody is in this area. What we can do is roll a number. We can roll a, let's see. If I'm going to roll a d20. If we roll 1 through 6, there is 3 people. 7 through 12, there is, I'm sorry, 1 through 6, there's 2 people. 7 through 12, there's 3, and then 4 for yes. So we'll use the no, maybe yes. So 3, so 2, 3, and 4. Let's roll for it. 17? 17, there is 4 people. So we know now how many we're dealing with. So let me go ahead and get more miniatures. Okay, I vaguely positioned them just in the center of this hallway for the most part. What we're going to do is roll to see where these guys are exactly. Now, no modifiers. These 2 guys are here. Are they in the center or are they in one of these cells? Uh, okay, no modifier on this one. Are they in the center? They are. So these guys are in the center, just standing guard. Now these 2, are these 2 in this holding cell, the storage room? Well, that was almost. They are. Nah, they're not, but they're near it. Let's say they're also trying to open it up, which leads me to think that these are goblins. So, are these guys goblins? And all of them? Uh, ah, that's a very, very weak maybe. Loomer just can barely tell. He's barely peeking around, like one eye, just looking, and he sees these 2. So he's confident that these guys are most likely goblins. Their backs are turned to us, to Loomer, and he sees their armor, he sees their green skin. He sees these other 2 barely, though. He can barely tell where they are. So Loomer goes back. He whispers to his comrades and says, "I think we got more goblins on our hands, as expected." This guy says, and Halfling says, "Great." So what we can do is rush in, attack, surprise. Get my marker ready for if we do decide to attack. Now, does anything happen in this very moment? Because we gotta create some conflict in the story. Let's say likely something happens. A +2 modifier on this roll. 19, something does significantly happen, and this is huge. Definitely rolling pretty well today with the happenings. So, because that, um, a scuff, an argument breaks out. These two individuals get into some serious argument, perhaps over trying to. It's the goblins. So at this point, Loomer is looking around the corner again, and now he can confidently tell that they are goblins. And he notices that, FYI, these miniatures are not goblins. I don't have any goblin miniatures. Um, so he sees that they're fighting over some stolen goods, and the stolen goods, which I don't have around me. Oh, no, I'll use the marker. That's why I have a marker in the first place. Um, there's just some stuff right here in the middle, just some boxes, crates, weapons, some gold. They are fighting over these stolen goods that they have confiscated. So, which means they were able to get through this little, uh, locked, uh, jail door that we couldn't get into. So that means that one of these guys has a key. Now, what Loomer's thinking at the moment, he's thinking, wait, is this my stuff? Because they're all fighting over it. So like they're getting pushy. They're now what we can throw is, we merely threw to see if there's anything going on, like anything eventful. We did, some internal conflict between the goblins on party. Now, do these guys get physical? Let's say, likely. It's pretty low. I mean, with +2, 7. They start shoving at times. They're yelling at each other, tapping their lungs. None of them are playing referee. They're just all pointing and blaming each other, like this could have gone better. I deserve this. I took that other bandit out. I deserve all these goods, etc. So they're all trying to point and blame and say this stuff is mine. You already had your share, etc. And Loomer sees this as an opportunity to attack. So when Loomer turns around, does he notice anything back here in this very deep corner? Because we've had our backs to this side. We've had our backs, uh, against the stairwell for some time, perhaps like maybe a minute, 30 seconds to a minute. So does he notice anything? Just like when he looks back to his colleagues here, he obviously has a plain sight of this area. Let's not throw a modifier on this one. Does he see any? Okay, he's just like I guess I'm rolling really well for some of these. So 18. Is this thing that we see a threat? Let's say highly likely. But, our two partners, our two friends are supposedly in this area up here. Let's put them on the map. We're not, that just kind of reminds me that they're still in play. Like they're still around the area, but they're not technically there. And that they could be somewhere else. But it just reminds me that they still are characters that we control. Is it a threat? +2. It is. It is a 12. If there was no modifier, it'd be a weak threat. So that's borderline maybe. So it is a general threat. Is it going to be a possible goblin? Possible, no modifier. This is a goblin. It is not, which means I think it's a bandit because it's a threat. I mean, what other threat do we get? Um, we could say, is it a creature? It's not. So it's a bandit. So these guys are goblins, just to remind myself. This party is goblins. So we have these goblins here. Now we have a bandit that I need to pull out of my makeshift collection of figurines. There's a bandit here who sees us. And he yells, Zoy! He yells. Now, we all turn around. Loomer, we all say, oh shit. Loomer even says, oh shit. The problem here is Loomer's thinking, wait, how did this guy get past our friends? Because we have those two up there that aren't. FYI, the characters on the sides are all nameless besides Reckonwood, who is our target. We still haven't seen him. Now, this leads me to think. Highly likely, I just want to get to this point in the story. Is this Reckonwood? Reckonwood's our target. He's the first original target for this whole mission that has just been out of control. Is this Reckonwood +4? I told you. I freaking I freaking told you. I'm rolling so damn well for some of these. I rolled a critical, no modifier not required. This is Reckonwood. We finally have freaking Reckonwood in the damn story. I'm gonna write Reckonwood right there. He's gonna wreck some wood now. I think I spelled it wrong. I don't care. I don't care. We finally have Reckonwood. And Loomer's eyes open up. He whispers because he's still aware of these goblins and he's hoping they didn't hear. Did the goblins hear Reckonwood shout, "Oi!" Top of his lungs? I mean, they're having a commotion. And there's some, I don't know, if you look at it from an audio standpoint, Loomer, the halfling, and our other prisoner friend can muffle the sound a bit, but still a lot of echo. With stones, how sound travels, probably it's hard to say. If there's not a lot of objects to muffle the sound, so let's say it's likely that the goblins heard it. But they're also bickering and they're shoving, they're shouting, and they're screaming. And the bandit, Reckoner probably can maybe somewhat hear it too. So let's just leave that possible at this point. Do these guys hear this the shout? Because now we're surrounded. They do. That's a 14 if it stops. Yeah, they do, but that's a weak. I mean, it's yeah, it's a yes. There's not a strong yes. Strong yes is like 16 up, 16, 17. So they hear. I'd say because it's somewhat yes. Two of these guys hear it, while then the other two are like, "What's going on?" Now these goblins will turn and they don't see anything. They're not stupid though. They know it's gonna come around the corner. Lumers quickly realizes they are potentially surrounded. He says, "This is the guy I'm after. Let me take him. You guys handle the goblins behind," because they obviously heard him. So at this point, we're splitting the party up again. Do they agree with the idea? Like they look to each other and just nod, and like anime style, kind of like that. Let's say highly likely they've been following me this far. They do highly likely is +4 to stop shaking. I'm not shaking. It's a digital dice. I can't shake it. 5, 6, 7. They're very hesitant. They it's hard to say if they want the fun or they don't feel like they're confident enough to go against some goblins. Even though we just slayed some goblins, they are very hesitant. Let's do a will throw to see if Loomer can convince them otherwise. Because again, they're hesitant. That was a 4 modifier with a 3 roll. So let's do a will save to see if you can motivate them or convince them to just let him take his target. Because that was the original plan, the deal. So I got to roll a 13 or under. Ah, all right, so this kind of changes things. Because I failed my will throw, a willpower throw, I can't. Um, I just they won't let me get by them. These our two prisoner allies won't let me just you know rush at Reckonwood is right there. The problem. Okay, so Loomer's realizing he's at a crossroads. He says, "Fine, you guys can take him. I'll get the goblins, but let me finish the do the what do you call it? Finishing blow." Do they agree to that plan? Let's say a certainty on this one. They do. Fine. They nod. They said fine, but we'll take him from here. You can handle the goblins. So I turn around, and are the goblins like literally right behind me? Let's say likely at this point. They are. Okay, the goblins are really right behind me. These two are still bickering about the gold. They don't really care what's going on, apparently. While our friends, we have to roll to see if Breckenwood is going to attack. I'm saying it's a certainty that he's going to attack. He's a threat. Yeah, he attacks. Okay, so he's going to rush them, and so is our guy. Now, because he was an idiot and just went, "Oi!" He didn't sneak up. and assassinate us. He's a bandit, not exactly a stealthy, uh, not exactly a stealthy person. These guys officially have an encounter, so you might be not be able to see it. But what we're gonna do is pull up the website. Okay, you probably can barely see it. I'm gonna zoom in for you guys. Just there we go. Well, phone view. Uh, Probably should be able to see it now, but a mistake. I don't know if it's a mistake, but a narrative choice I made in the last one was that the no name NPCs, just like henchmen. I just strictly user HP. I believe you're supposed to also use strength as a deduction when you're attacking. Um, because this guy's a boss, essentially, I will do that for this encounter, even though it's my two friends. So, what we're gonna do is also base the. So he has a 4 HP and an 11 strength. 11, I'll do this 11, 11. So that represents, actually, it's fine. 11's there. And then what we're going to do is open up another monsters tab and find the halfling who, surprisingly, I think we actually have. We're getting info now for all of our characters. So he's a halfling is a 4 and an 8, which I forgot to do for our last encounter to include the strength of our allies, but they weren't actually hurt. I don't think I'll have to go back and replay that. But halfling is 4 and 8. Hope you guys can kind of see that. I know it's reversed. I do apologize, but it's from my angle. And then we'll give the other prisoner bandit stats. So he's nearly equal. He is equal with Reckonwood. Now, the goblins also have their own stat. So what we'll do is go back to monsters and check goblins. Goblins. Where are you? Goblin. There we go. Goblins are, they're not bosses, so I'm going to ignore their strength. 4 and 4. But still, I could potentially die again. I almost died the last one. Because even with my strength deduction, which I still have, FYI, which I probably should note that, even though we have a character sheet here. I'm going to note that, and we'll tally it up after the actual combat happens. So, 4, 9. There's all of our stats. These guys here, they're not there. That's just a reminder for myself that they are still characters in this whole thing. These guys are still bickering, just for the comedy of it. Now, we'll keep my stick. All right, so the first encounter that we're going to take care of is mine, is Loomers. So, because these guys were behind me, I turn around. I'm going to assume we can throw to see if it's possible that they have the first strike. Do they have the first strike? They don't. Okay, so I am going to strike first. I choose to strike this guy with my club, which is a D4. So that does this much damage. Jeez, the dice. A 4. I took out this guy, no problem. Again, we're not considering strength because they are henchmen. They're not significant. Then it's now the goblin's turn. He has a D4. So what we'll do, we'll roll which one he uses. 1 and 2 is the dagger. 3 and 4 is the sling. But most likely he'll use a dagger because he's close by. 2, he uses the dagger. Dagger is D6. That's pretty worrisome. He strikes. I'm going to try take 4 damage. Now, what I can do is do a dexterity save to see if I can dodge it, which that's, I believe, something you can do in this game because I didn't do before. I'm going to try to use my dexterity to parry, basically. So 4. If I fail, I get 4 damage. I have to roll 14 or below. Jeez. Yeah, I dodged. Okay, so I dodged that. Now, I'm going to strike with my club, which is a D4. Yep, D4 damage. 3 damage. So, he's down to 1. Right there. I'm hoping I'm not fudging the rules too much with this. Now, it is his turn. He's going to go, but he's going to continue using his dagger. He's going to strike. I'm going to try. Luger's going to try to just dodge again. 5 damage. That's bad if it hits. Now let's see if I can roll for dexterity. 5 damage if I get over 14. I dodge. Loomer dodges, no problem. Dodges again. Now, hopefully the final strike. I'm going to attack with my club. 2 damage. But the goblin is getting really tricky. He's gonna try to dodge. 2 damage if and he is able to dodge barely. The goblin's turn. Again, if I'm doing this right. The goblin strikes with his dagger, d6. Only 1 puny damage. I attempt to dodge it. 1 damage. If critical. So with critical damage, don't think there's a rule for it, but I failed to dodge. So he gets me. He gets me, and that's 1 damage. So I'm down to 3 now. Down to 3. Terrific. I still have my 9 strength. So I'm going to try to finish him off with my club of justice. 1 damage. And does he dodge it? 1 damage if he fails to dodge. I feel like this can go on forever. 7. He does dodge. Now he's going to try to strike me. Jeez. Oh, whoops, sorry, wrong dice. D6. 2. Does this hit me? Let's do dexterity. Dodge. 2 damage if it does. No, it does hit me. Shoot. Oh, no, 5. Sorry, that was 15. Okay, I'm going to go and now here's what I'm going to do. To try to finish this off, I'm going to do a strength. I'm going to add my strength on this throw. So I'm going to do a D6, sorry, D4 for how much damage I'm going to do. 4. And I'm going to use my strength. If I roll my strength or under, and remember, mine's hurt, then I'll do double damage. So, he's already 4 anyway. So actually, it's completely unnecessary. So I rolled a 4. I'll just give it that. It does this hit. Dexterity is 12. Hits. Finally. Darn it. He's out. Goblin's out. Now we still have these two guys. Am I able to? Are these two goblins right here going after me? Are they still? I should rephrase that question. Are these goblins about to encounter me? I say likely. They are. They're really hesitant. They're fearful. They are really worried about what they just saw. That I parried like 6 times in a row, and they think they don't have enough strikes for that. So I'm going to try to intimidate them and scream at the top of my lungs, so just a battle roar, even though I'm not a barbarian. So I'm going to do that, and I have to do that would be a will throw. Let's see if Will helps us. He's a great guy. Oh my gosh, I almost did a critical failure. I did it. I'm able to scare them off, and they flee out the door right here. Uh, which means there's still the treasure here. Now I'm going to go back and try to help allies. So I'm going to enter this fight. If I even can, there's not a lot of room. So all these guys are fighting here. Let's start the battle at least. So what we'll do is 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. I had to adjust something. All right, so now let's figure out how we're going to end this battle that's about to brew. Well, it happened. The issue of this narratively, chronologically wise, is we need to do at least part of the battle because we were dealing with our own issue. Like they weren't just standing there waiting for Loomer to finish. We're just like, oh, Loomer. So I actually have to do the majority of the battle because ours went on. Whether or not I'm following the rules correctly, it definitely went on because of all the dodging. So um, obviously Piccolo trained me well. So if anyone gets that joke, uh, let's do the throws for the. Let's say the who goes first. 1 through 3 is our team. 4 through 6 is Reckonwood. Reckonwood goes first. All right, he's going to strike the big guy first. So he'll make a he's a bandit, so he has his dagger. That's all he has. He does 4 damage, and then we're not wearing any armor, so can dexterity 14 for for our prisoner ally. He'll try to dodge 14 or under. He is barely able to dodge that, so now it's the prisoner's turn. He'll do the dagger, the same stats. All right. Now, what we can do for this, I'm thinking about using the instead of trying rolling based on because I here's my problem. Again, trial and error. I do apologize ahead of time when I do these episodes, when I do these chapters. I'm not. I probably do fudge the rules at times, and it's evident that this is the first solo campaign with Cairn. Um, with Cairn. Now we can change it from simply relying on the stats to just rolling for luck. So if the attack hits, because Karen's rules are all attacks hit, we should follow that. So all attacks hit. He does 6 damage. I'm going to follow that now because that's something I did wrong. He does 6 damage to Reckonwood. I'm sorry, I gotta re-roll. I completely forgot. All right, he does 2 damage to Reckonwood. So our bandits, now he's down to 2. There's no armor. Yep. And now it's Halfling's turn. The Halfling's going to attack. The Halfling has a wow. Well, D6 plus 6 short swords. I don't think we can consider the Halfling's armor last time. I think I'm trying to remember. We used a D4, I believe. Let me put a D4 on here. We didn't give him that much of an OP weapon. I don't think we did. So he'll use it. He has a D4. Probably getting that wrong, but we're gonna go with it. So he's gonna try to strike the Breckenwood. He does. He gets 2. So now he's at 0. He's still in the fight. He's bleeding out though. All he's left is his strength modifier, his strength attribute now. Now it's Reckenwood's turn. He's going to strike with his dagger at the big guy. 4. Big guy, because he's an ally, he's also down to 0. Like looking in the mirror, isn't it? So now it's the big guy's turn. It's our prisoner's friend. He uses his dagger. But, yeah, he uses his dagger. I'm trying to think of a complication, but yeah, -3. So now 10, 9, 8. 10, 9, 8. His strength has been hit. He's bleeding out. It's the halfling's turn. Halfling will strike with a blunt object. Completely forgot 2. He's down to 6. And then it's getting really bad now for Reckenwood. And he sees this. He's going to back up 1 tile. At that same time, Limmer's almost done with, I believe, with his little bout over there. So that was his move. And now the bandit, he's going to attempt to flee. And this is what is it called? A dexterity throw. So if he rolls um, a dexterity throw, he can flee. Successful dexterity throw. He's a critical. Yeah. So he's able to run off, but he's bleeding out. So it's not exactly fast. He runs out. These two chase after him. They're over here now. Let's keep these guys off to the side. So we do have to do fog of war here. They're chasing after him. Now, let's see. Does Breckenwood run into anybody? No modifier. He does. It didn't say, but it's a 16. There it is. 16. Is is it does he run into an ally of his? He is 10, which is right in the middle of the road. Potentially an ally. Hmm. Potentially an ally. I feel like re-rolling for that because that doesn't make potentially an ally. They're not a threat to him. Oh, this is a well, the goblins are enemies of the bandits at this point. Probably the prisoner. Could be our prisoner allies. Is it our prison? I'm gonna re-roll for that because that. Well, we'll re-roll for that. It's an ally. Even the yeah, that's a borderline maybe. It is possibly. It's most likely an ally. So let's get a. So here's some. Let's sit here. I think with the 10 in mind, it is gonna be a very ineffectual ally. That's the thing. I'm gonna go off the 10 roll and say it's a really short. It's another halfling. He runs into. Like he literally runs into him. Like they collide. And the halfling is the halfling a fighter? He's not. So this halfling that works for the bandits, he's perhaps just an animal wrangler and he's got caught up in it and he's running for his life. He's trying to escape. Maybe he was hiding out one of the prison cells and he just collided with he ran uh into Reckonwell on the way out, and that's why I think that's how I'm going to decipher the 10. So he gets knocked over. Um, this Reckon would take damage for this. Yeah, he does. I'll just have to take just 1 point damage for running into him. So he runs into him. He collapses like that. He gets back up, and guess what? These two are right behind him. So even though he fled successfully, bumping into that guy, and at this point, I'd say that Loomer is done with his little bout. So we'll keep our stats up there. He's going to notice that they're gone, so he runs after them and he sees what's about to happen. So whatever transpires right now is what Loomer is going to run into, is what Loomer is going to see. So we're back into a conflict. Um, we now have so we're back in combat. So 0-5 for Breckenwood. A halfling will go off that, but he's not a fighter. Does the halfling fight? Breckenwood is begging him because remember Breckenwood was bleeding out, so that's why even though he fled with a successful will throw or a dexterity throw, he's still bleeding out. He says, "Please, you got to help me." Does the halfling bandit ally help? Let's say highly unlikely. He doesn't. Yeah, 12. So highly unlikely is 4. That's 8. He doesn't. He's super hesitant. He's slowly backing up, like he's not going to take part in this. He doesn't run away. He just slowly backs up, and Breckenwood's just bleeding out right now. Because that again running into the halfling didn't exactly help either. And um, with that advantage, um, 0-5. Our guy has 0-11. So I mean, our ally is pretty beat up too, but he still has all the strength left. He's like holding on, like he's what do you call it? Limping. And 4-8 for the halfling. Our halfling friend is in pretty good shape. So 4-8 with his D4 blunt object. Our guy is up there. Over is the old. Reckon what's that? The big guy is going to strike Hope you guys can see it. The big guy's going to strike. Hopefully the final blow, or one of the two final blows with his bandit, with his dagger. So we're striking. Our party's striking. I completely forgot. I'm sorry, guys. I'm always messing this up at times. I have to roll for our party the entire, all the attacks and choose the highest roll. I forgot about that. So, okay, D4 and a D6. I totally apologize. But at least I caught it now. All right, so we do 2 damage, I think. Yeah, 2 damage. Now he's down to 3 at this point. And I believe we're going to do a strength throw for Reckonwood to see if he can crawl away. Because that's all he can do now. He's on the ground. And nope. With the 3, he's down. He collapsed. Like he's on the ground gasping for life. This is where Loomer runs in. He runs past. Remember, let's go to our traits, our character traits. He's dangerous. He's vengeful. Remember the vengeful part. He runs in. He somewhat shoves the halfling and pushes the uh, our prisoner ally aside, and he goes in for the finishing blow. Like he just rushes in there. After all this, he just wants to finish off his target. He does D4 damage. D4. D4 damage. He does 2 damage. He strikes him in the back, and he screams in pain. He's literally 1 health, bleeding out. His eyes are like anime style. They're just faded out. He's all just white pupils. He's out. He's almost out. And he's gasping for the air. And then we'll have to do a strength throw to see if he can crawl away or like beg for mercy. This is it. I highly doubt it, but there's no modifier in this. It's a straight from the character throw, the character sheet. It has to be a 1 or it has to be 1. Nope. His hand just fucking collapses. So I'm gonna finish him off. Loomer finishes off. He's gonna do a D4. The our allies are stepping back because they see the fire in my eye in Loomer's eyes. D4. This is it. This is the finisher. 4 damage. This guy is dead. So goodbye. Reckonwood is dead. Mission accomplished. We'll do a smiley. We'll do a dead face. Dead smiley face. So mission accomplished. And the halfling right there, as he gets scared and run off, Lumber's just looking at him, and we're also hurt. We're considerably hurt. I probably should modify my sheet too. 3 health, not too bad, but we are technically hurt. Lumber just looks at him. A certainty does he run away. He's not a fighter. He's an animal wrangler. Yeah, with modifier +6, he runs off. He's out. He's gone. We'll spare him. We won't attack. Now we still have his gold. Loomer turns around and he says, "Job done." And our allies they look at each other and says, "We still have our other 2 friends." Loomer, it's his call. I mean, he is honorable, but he did reach his addiction led to the death of his vengeance, completed his mission. So this could be the end of the story. Um, it's hard to say. I believe at this point, let's roll. This might be unconventional, but let's roll two d20s. The first number is yes. Second number is no. Does Loomer? This is really a toss up for me. Does Loomer continue with his allies to help find the other 2, if they're even alive? Well, I see a 3 and a 9. I'm guessing no wins this one. He does. Okay, so nine's first. He does continue on. Barely. Yeah, he does. It's like an average yes. So he says, "All right, Let's go find our friends. And thus he turns around because he knows that he's ignoring the pile of goods down here. But then he has to remember it. He remembers it. He turns back around and he says, "I gotta get my stuff." So do they let me go through? I'd say highly likely. Bloomer's saying, I need to get some better gear. I can't. I have a club, so for certainty they'll let us go through, and I'll force my way through. 7 plus 6, 13, 13. Okay, they step out of the way just for a second. Bloomer runs. He's running. And does he see anything down this hall? Let's say highly unlikely. -4. Does he see anything down this hall? No, he doesn't. So he keeps running, and he turns around the corner. Does he see anything down this hall? Remember, I'm saying, I should rephrase that. Does he see anybody down this hall? Let's just keep it possible. He does. He sees somebody. Is it a threat? Leave it possible. It's okay. You know what? Just for the heck of it, it's the halfling from earlier. He ran in a circle. He's right here, about to take the treasure, and he sees Loomer standing right there. What do you think he's going to do after seeing what Loomer just did to his boss? We don't even have to roll for it. The halfling stands there and he says, "Oh shit, it's you again." And Loomer walks up to him slowly. He says, "Step away from my stuff." This is a certainty? Does the halfling step away? The other halfling, a certainty he steps away. He does. And he starts backing up. He says, "Just And Loomer's feeling. He he knows he knows his bandit is not a fighter, a warrior. He's he's basically an animal. He's like I say, he's an animal wrangler. He's animals to horses. Uh, I keep saying animal wrangler, but that's not the title of it. He says, Loomer just basically points to the exit. He says, "Get the hell out of here." And the halfling goes. So halfling is gone. That's for some comedy. So we're at this pile of goods. Um, we don't have to roll for it. It's been here. We can roll for it. A certainty is a pile of goods still there on the ground. It is. Yeah, it's still there. So let's see what we pick up. Um, how many items do I pick up? Let's do D4. I actually do D6 because there's a big pile of possible valuables. Wow. Okay, we'll pick up 6 items. All right, let's roll for it. I'm going to pull the website up and we'll get the. Let's close up these other stats. I'll close the goblin. We'll close the halfling, and then we're going to go to um, the rules, which I said we won't look to, but we have to look to it for the item list if we want to stay within the lore. We're going to do. Let's do armor. So we'll roll a d20. Wow, I get a plate. Holy mackerel. That's okay. So plate of armor. Armor. Okay. I think that might be a bulky item, so we'll have to get to that in a second. Then for the second item, I'm going to roll for the helmet, if there is one. Usually it's never, yeah, there's never a helmet. So we'll skip that. That will disqualify the second item. We rolled for it, we failed. The third item is a weapon. Please be good. Okay, I'll take that. 14. Let's do an axe for fun, because it's going to be a unique weapon. So axe, right there, and we'll do the quotations for, sorry, parentheses for its eventual dice, its roll value. Expeditionary gear, roll 2020. That's the fourth item. 1, Airblader, whatever that is. We'll add that. If I decide to take it, he takes it for now. The fifth item, what was that? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth item, which is a tool. 5, a chisel. 5. That's not right. So scheiße. Crickets, 16. Soap. I found soap. Okay, so that's the items we have right now. Now we gotta look at the effectiveness of those items, mainly the armor and the weapon. So armor plate is +3, but it is bulky, so it takes up 2 slots. So we have to take keep one unoccupied, and the armor is 3. So the armor +3. So now we have armor. Uh, the axe is going to be D8. That's a heck of a value. And then there's other things. If they have anything, airbladers, just the value worth of it. Chisel soap. Yep, nothing else. Okay, so everything else is narrative driven. So I've got my belongings back, and I think I'm gonna end it there. So we have these two characters who are maybe they're in this room. We don't know. We left it up. We left it up to Fog of War. So I'm gonna erase. We killed Reckonwood, so mission accomplished. So at that point, uh, there we go. Erase my little. We know that. Erase the leftover items. So, but there was no gold. Was there any gold? Was there any gold? The problem is we already like 6, so that's getting my mind, but that's all right. We have plenty of gold for now. Okay, so I think that is a perfect place to end it. We have looted up. We have our backpack is nearly full. Um, yeah, that's great. And we killed. Yeah, we killed Reckonwood. Reckonwood is dead. DED dead. So target Reckonwood DED dead. All right, and there you go. So, just a quick recap. We went back inside. We dealt with some goblins. We dealt with Reckonwood. Mission accomplished. And Loomer decided to continue his adventure with this little group of misfits. So, um, as always, I dealt with trial and error. I fudged the rules probably a little too much at times. I messed up on the narrative a couple times. I just like I like to critique myself just so I can improve, and if I can in future videos. It's always an experiment, just for fun. That's all I really care about. It's so freaking fun to do this. I love playing solo RPGs at this point. But yeah, following Cairn down to the T. I think for no matter how easy or page like 20 pages of rules, I'm sure I'll mess up a lot. Um, but yeah, like the combat sequence, I think I messed up because I was attacking for each character. You're supposed to do a roll for the entire party. Um, Considering the strength and the dexterity for if you can dodge every single time. I think it's really again rules are made to be broken at times depending on the moment at hand. So I think in the future I'm just make it dependent on the narrative, like which I did for the boss. Like I gave him the strength on top of as a HP. Besides everyone else who they just have their hit protection, they're just dead when they hit 0, and I don't use their strength. But yeah, for now, yeah, I think that was fantastic. I would love to hear any comments if you guys have any. And that's really it for tonight. Yeah, we'll call it a day. Thanks for watching. 8:30 RPG. I think I said last video, thanks for watching solo RPG, which yeah, which is just the generic term. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.